a night of heaven and hell, and my friend and I were sober freshmen. We were sober, unfortunately, well, because we were freshmen, and we didn't know anyone to get us any alcohol. Too apathetic to wear sexy Victoria's Secret angel wings or devil horns, we decided to wear all black instead. Hellish enough, right? We made our way to the Sig New house, and after waiting God knows how long outside that house, we finally made our way into the basement, onto the dance floor. It was hot, and it was busy, and it reeked of freshman desperation. Every time some sweaty figure came behind me and my friend Dahlgren, we would shake our heads yes or no at each other. Most of the time, it was a no. We were bored and miserable, so when 15 minutes into the party, my friend Sam, a guy on my freshman floor, texted me, "Do you want to go roofing?" I said yes immediately. No questions asked, no hesitation. So we left the Sig New house, so happy to be in the cold, fresh air. We met up with Sam, and we saw he was accompanied by 2 older guys. We didn't recognize them. They said hi to us, but for the most part went ahead of us as we lingered behind. They were wearing these really cool frat tanks that showed off their really strong, muscular muscles. So I'm pretty sure they were trying to send us a message, and we were like, okay, message received. We had no idea where we were going, so we just continued to follow them. That was part of their older guy allure, right? Soon enough, we ended up at Graham Chapel, of all places, about to make the holy pretty unholy, so I guess we did pick hell that night. One of the older guys, the hot one, he was on the campus's media AV club, so he had access to Graham Chapel. He swiped in with his WashU ID and he let us in. Immediately, he ran down the aisle and up the stage, and on the stage, he pulled the sheet off of the organ and started slamming his fingers down on the keys. And horrible, discordant, out-of-tune noises started to echo throughout the chapel room. And as I was about to cover my ears, I hear him play a beautiful classical tune instead. And I'm like, oh my God, the hot one can play music too. Start to swoon even more. The other guys, the hot one's friend and my friend Sam, they were sliding on their bellies down the aisle. My friend and I decided to ditch the scene, so we went to the bathroom behind the chapel room. And we did what any 17 or 18-year-old girl would do. We took selfies. I still have these selfies on my phone to this day, even when Apple sends me that once-a-day message, your storage is full. I'm like, F you, no Apple, I'm keeping these pictures. So we decided to meet them back in the chapel room, and once we're in the chapel room, we asked us, do you want to climb the roof? And again, we say yes, no questions asked, no hesitation. Clearly, carelessness was the move that night. So we follow them again, this time to a small room with a ladder. And I guess the only way to get to the top of the roof is through a ladder. But it's not the ladder you would expect. It's not some strong, sturdy concrete ladder. No, it's some rickety, wooden, shoddy, dusty ladder. And the older guys start climbing it. And I look to my friend Sam, and he's wildly shaking his head no. He has a fear of heights, so he's like, hell no, I'm not going up that. But I follow suit. I start following the guys. And mind you, I'm not dressed appropriately for this type of activity. I'm wearing that tight black mini skirt that every freshman girl has when to watch you, and I'm wearing those flimsy Old Navy sandals that come in every color on their one-day, $1 sale. But I climb up, and I honestly can't even remember if I have a fear of heights because the hot one is above me and my friend is below me, so there's nowhere to go but up. As I'm climbing, there's soot falling down on my eyes, and I'm like rubbing my eyes, and I'm like feeling for the next rung and the next rung. And as I'm getting closer and closer to the top, I can see the moon and the stars twinkling. And I can see this hand, and I'm getting closer and holding it closer, and it's like 2 hands. And then I see it's the hot one, and it's like an angel at the top of the chapel. And he pulls me up with his strong, muscular arms onto the roof's platform. And apparently, there's this rule on campus that there can be nothing taller than the highest point of Graham Chapel. But I broke another rule that night. I was the tallest point on campus, except for the hot one, because the hot one was 6'4", and I'm 5'3". So once we're at the top, the older guys immediately start casually walking down this very, very, very steep roof. I, on the other hand, have to take my flip-flops off, and I'm walking on all fours, crawling in fact, on all fours backwards to the bottom of the roof's edge. And while I'm in this awkward tarantula-like position, the older guys offer me some weed, and I'm like, I can only do one illegal thing at one time, not right now, not one. But eventually I do make my way to the roof's edge, and once I'm there, my breath is completely taken away. I feel like I'm on my flight from New York to St. Louis, and I see this quiet little Lego town below me. And I see students with their big, heavy backpacks trudging from Olin back home, and I see WooPD carts whirring around. I'm like, thank God I'm not down there. And honestly, in that moment, I felt as powerful as I ever have felt on this campus, especially as a freshman who felt so out of control and so insecure. To be up there looking out over everything without anyone knowing, I felt more grounded up there than I ever have down here. So I tried to stretch out the moment as long as I could, taking everything in, staying quiet, looking at all that was below me. But eventually we did have to make our way down. And once we did, we simply parted ways with the guys. They went on to finish their year, they continued to roof hop. I went on continuing to finish my freshman year. I went on to almost fail Cal 1, to join a sorority, to get into a relationship. And actually later that year, I was at King's with some of the guys in the Hot Ones fraternity. And I see the Hot One approaching the table, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta feel my hair. And I'm like fluttering a little bit, and he comes to the table, I'm like, hi. And he totally doesn't recognize me. And I'm like, how would you not recognize me? You lifted me up. But alas, he doesn't recognize me. And the next year, I was actually working with Tamara King, as a student conduct ambassador. And she would often gripe to me about the stupidity of the student body and all our stupid acts. And one day she said, oh, and those kids that go roofing, I wish that I could expel them. And in response, I'm like, yeah, they're so freaking stupid. Why the hell would you ever do that? But, you know, looking back, I don't think I ever would have done what I did that night. I didn't realize how big a risk it was and how careless I was being, but I think that was the beauty of the whole situation. The blissful ignorance, the carelessness, the unapologetic joy. And, you know, now that I'm a senior and I'm searching for jobs and I'm thinking about grad school in a couple of years, I honestly can't even remember the last risk that I took. So younger, risky Bisma is a total inspiration for older, risk-averse Bisma. And now when I sit in Graham Chapel and I'm listening to important talks about law and religion and politics, and there's David Axelrod from CNN, and there's David Brooks from the New York Times and a poet laureate, I sit back in my pew and I giggle to myself. It's kind of like Graham and I have this dirty little secret, you know, when you hook up with someone and then you see them the next day on campus and you're like, wow, I've seen you naked.